Hello and welcome to a special episode of Wargames Geek for Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. Today I'm building a Tatooine building for Star Wars Legion games, and for the build I'm using foam core sheets. And what I'm doing is I'm just marking the sheets out now, and I'm doing the outside walls will be 60mm by 130mm. So what I'm doing is here I'm just marking out the foam board in order to cut the four sides of 60 by 130mm. So I'm just marking that out now, and we'll get those cut. So here I've cut two of the four sides for the four walls. Clever how it works, isn't it? So four walls for this building, and I'm just going to cut those into half, those pieces. So there we are. So we've got the 60mm by 130mm, and as I say, those are the outside walls. And then the next stage is to glue the outside edges to form this square shape for the building. So that's the four sides stuck together, and just need a little bit of sort of messing about a little bit just to get the edges nice and flush and nice and square, and try and get them at 90-degree angles to one another. And then that will be the sort of basic shape of the outside of this building done. We'll need to let that to dry off. The PVA glue there needs to set before we can then move on to the next stage. So there we are. So I'm just going to set that nice and steady. Just make sure all the corners are butting up nicely to one another, and then we can move on to the next stage. Okay, so there's a little bit of messing around to do just to get that all nice and flush and square, and then that's that bit done, so we need to just leave that to dry. So the next stage is to cut some lengths of 50mm high, and these basically are going to be inserts. They're going to go inside the building as supports for the roof, so they'll be stuck to the inside walls at 50mm high, and then the roof will just settle on top of those and will be glued into place during the build phase. So these don't need to be, the width for these isn't really important, it's just making sure the height is all 50mm all the way around. So just cut those pieces out, and two for each wall, so 8 in total. So you've got one either side, if you like, on the left and the right hand side of the wall and inside, which I'll demonstrate shortly. And whilst I'm still cutting things out, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a 40mm strip as well. Just cut that across, take your time, nice straight edge. So I say 40mm high, this one. And what this is going to be some sort of angled supports that go on the outside building walls. So and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do three for the three supports on each wall, apart from the one where the door is. That'll just have two. So what I'm doing is I'm just drawing the angled line here, and then I'm going to just cut that out again with the sharp knife, and then we'll have the piece that we need for the first angle section for the outside of the wall. So I'm just speeding that up a little bit just to get through those outer wall supports. And so what we've got here is they're 40mm high, as I've said already, 40mm high. The bottom is 20mm, the top is 10, and then it gives you that angle which will look good as a support on the outside of the buildings. I'm now going back to the 50mm high bits that I cut out, and I'm just putting some PVA on those, and then I'll basically put those on the inside of the buildings, on the inside of the walls for the roof supports. And there we have the wall supports all put inside the building there. So there's 8 of those in total, 2 for each wall, as I've mentioned already. And now I'm starting to stick on the outside external wall supports. And as you can see there, I've got 3 on each wall I'm going to go for. And as I said already, I'm just going to do 2 on the front wall where the door will be. Otherwise it will look a bit sort of odd with trying to fit the door in there. So that's the back wall, if you like, or one of the 2 side walls with that bit done. And then I'm just sort of free-handed the door entrance, and I'm going to sort of worked out where I'm going to put that, and I'll PVA glue that into place with the 2 wall supports. So you get an idea now of what I'm talking about with how to do the sort of front entrance and then the sort of side and back walls. So let's glue on the other supports for the other sides, and it's pretty much just a repetition of the side wall I've already done for those 3 side supports there. So I'll speed through that, and that's the last of those going onto the building now. So once we've done that, obviously we need to let that dry off. It doesn't need to be perfect. It is you know, a sort of rough sort of mud hut type dwelling. What I'm doing now is I'm cutting a piece to size for the roof, and that was 13.5 centimeters, or what's that, 135 millimeters squared. And then I needed to work out where the center was for me to be able to put a domed roof on this. Now I've bought polystyrene balls for this, and I've got a hot wire cutter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take that away, and I'm going to cut that in half, and then one of the halves will be glued onto the top in the middle as a sort of domed area for that particular building. So that's it cut to size. So we need to get some glue onto that, and then that's on the roof now, just to give you an idea of what it's going to look like when the roof is in place. So it's quite dry now, so it's okay to handle it. So I'm going to turn it around so you can see the front entrance, and that's where we're at. So I'll come back shortly. What I want to do is let that all dry off, and then I'm going to just start filling in the gaps and bits and pieces around the edge here at the front of the dome where it wasn't quite dead straight, and that's what I'll be doing next. So I'm now going to use some fix and grout. That's ready to use fix and grout, and what I'm doing with that is I'm going to fill up all of the holes. You can see where I've done that now, sort of spread that along a little bit. And what I've done, the idea with that is to just fill all of the holes in the gaps in the roof, and also just to give it a sort of a bit of a flat finish, so it sort of hold the paint a bit better. So I'm going to speed on, and I'll be with you momentarily. So there we are. So that's the roof has had a coating of the fix and grout, and you can't now see the sort of balls, if you like, of the polystyrene. So that's the roof ready to be sort of fixed on, and I'll need to do this process all over the outside of the building as well. So it's going to be a little bit of a messy one. What I'm doing is just using my hands. This is one I've done before, and I wasn't really happy with it. It was just too rough. But just to give you an idea of sort of how that looks, what I've done this time is just gone for a bit of a sort of smoother finish on it, and I'm a lot more happy with it. So that's the roof done. The supports will all need to be done, the walls will need to be done, and the door frame area will also need to have the grout done. So I'll get on and do that now. That's still a bit tacky, so I'll leave that to dry off, and then what I'll do is I'll come back once it's all dry, and we'll start getting some sand onto the building, and we'll also get some paint onto it as well. So as you can see, just looking at the roof, there are some gaps, so all of that will need to be filled. Well, you've got a choice here. You can either fill it, or you can use it, you can do something with it where you don't actually fix the roof on, so it can be lifted out. I'm fixing the roof on, and as you can see now, I've done all the filling around the top there, and I've gone around the building. I know the light's not ideal for you to see it, but I've gone around the building as well with the fix and grout, and just given it a sort of smoothish but textured finish. So I think it's a bit of a better view this side where the light is. I've gone all the way around the building, and that's where we're at with that. So the next stage then is just to let that all dry off, and then when it's done that, I've given it a watered down PVA mix, and I've just covered it in some sort of grit and sand. I've no idea what the grit was. I found it in a bag in the shed. We've not long moved here, and I don't know what it is, but it stinks, so I'm hoping it's not used cat litter, but it's on the building anyway. Once we've done that, what I've done was to save money rather than spending, quite a lot of money we spend on these paints. I've just gone to B&M store, and I've picked up some cookie dough tester pots, and I've used 2 of those on this just to give that a base coat. So that's where we're at with that. That's had a base coat of cookie dough, and once that's all dry, we're going to start doing some dry brushing. You can see it's very wet still, so it's going to take a little while, but the good news is that with the paint over the top of it, it doesn't smell so bad. So that's a result. I've now painted the door entrance in. I've just done it in black. I mean, you could paint a door on if you wanted to, or you could build a door to go on it, but I've just done it in plain matte black from the Army Painter range of paints. What I'm doing now is I've got some skeleton bone and some matte white, and I've mixed them together, that's sort of a 50-50 mix, and I'm just going over the building now with a sort of dry brush on those just to give it a bit of depth, and to see if it can sort of give it a little bit of a sort of lift and look really decent for the gaming table. I say it doesn't need to be perfect. If hindsight's the one thing, I think if I was to do it again, I probably have only used a little bit of sand, perhaps around the sort of bottom part of the dome and the bottom of the building. I think I may have overdone that, but you know, it's just for a bit of tabletop gaming, a bit of scenery on the table. So you know, it is what it is. I'm quite happy that it's a basic little building. You can see the highlighting going on now, and this is, I say, it's a dry brushing technique here that I'm using, and all it is I'm just loading the brush up, getting off the excess paint, and then just going over it to pick out the sort of highlights, if you like. So you can see that going on, and what I'll do is I'll forward that to the end of the dry brushing, and I'll do that now. So I'm just going to come around to this side and just show you. I think the light's better here, so you can see the white going on, this sort of skeleton bone and matte white mix going on. It looks a lot better if from this angle. So that's that done. And while I'm speeding around that, just getting the building done there, just want to take the opportunity to just say, if you are enjoying the video or enjoying my other videos, please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help. I provide content every Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning. A new video comes out, and in addition to that, there are the occasional extras like today's one and the one I did back on the 1st of April, a little cheeky wind up on the tartan paint. So do subscribe, do like, do share the channel, do share the videos. Every little helps, so thanks very much. And I'm just going to move on now to the end of the video where the building is complete. So that's the building finished. I'm just going to put it onto the table just to show you with a bit of better lighting and the old speeder bikes that I did previously. I'm quite pleased with the building and how it's come out. Obviously there are things I would do differently if I'd done it again. And as I've already mentioned, please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and do comment and follow me. I'm also on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, etc, etc. So if you put in War Games Geek, you'll find me there. Thanks for watching.